Were we supposed to bring the book?
It's okay if you didn't.
I bet you this is not literature class.
Different chair so you can see everything, okay?
All right.
Okay, guys, if you want to get out your assignment sheets, you want to pass those in.
I brought it this time.
Right.
Hey, me too.
Good job. I think
If it's still attached, thank you, ma'am.
I'm gonna take this phone apart.
Oh, that tab's so really cute. All right.
Can I get everybody's?
Week 2. And here's week 1 if you want.
It's okay, I figured. Pass that back to Aiden, please.
Okay.
All right. So did anybody find any of this particular passage confusing?
No.
A little bit.
Very.
Always.
Always?
And the whole book. Very.
How are you?
You're not my sister.
So what part did you find confusing? You mentioned
Everything.
chapter 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
mainly chapter 5.
Okay, so we're going to talk about chapter 5. Any other, did you have any particular part, or are you just still struggling with the language?
Mostly that.
Okay,
Mostly 5.
mostly 5. Okay.
Oh, that guy watches audiobooks. He doesn't actually read it.
Okay.
So that's kind of true.
All right, well, let's go over some of these comprehension questions and kind of talk about some things that happened. And maybe that'll shed a little bit of light on what was going on. Okay. So I want to start with chapter 3. You know, go ahead and have out your comp questions from chapter 3.
Which one is chapter 3? Because I don't know what's going on. What's happening? It's chapter 3.
And as we start this section, Tom's still being Tom.
Yep.
Naughty little boy, right?
Even at church.
Especially at church. Okay.
I would be afraid I'd get hit by lightning.
It's crazy how when he got falsely punished, he wanted to suffer.
That tells us a little something about Tom, doesn't it?
To show like, you're sorry now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wait, what matters now?
When he got
Sid.
punished for breaking the sugar bowl,
But really said that.
but Sid did it, he's like, oh, she's just gonna be so sad. People are gonna just cry.
I can't believe Sid did that.
I'm just gonna lay out here and die.
Sometimes that's me.
He's a little bit of a drama king. You know, we sometimes call girls drama queens. He is a drama king.
Pitiful.
He is just so sad.
Are you a drama queen?
We don't do drama in my house.
Will?
You're a drama queen.
Okay, so let's get focused on our lesson. Chapter 3 here. Walker, what does Tom do to Sid?
He beats him up. And he feels at peace that he did it.
Okay, well, he didn't necessarily beat him up.
They're dirt balls.
Oh
Okay.
no, that's my definition.
Yeah. He threw dirt clods at him. And how do you feel about it?
He felt at peace. He liked it. He just ran off. He just ran off like, yeah, that was good.
He's like, I
I'm
love
happy
you.
now.
Yep. So, Will, what's the sentence that reveals when Tom made the decision to abandon Amy Lawrence?
I couldn't even answer this question.
A certain Amy Lawrence vanished out of his heart and left not even a memory of herself behind.
She had gone out of his heart like a casual stranger whose visit is done. She didn't even mean more to him than just somebody he passed on the street that he didn't even know.
Poor Amy.
Did y'all feel sorry for Amy?
No.
No? Do you think she made a bad choice in the beginning?
Yep.
Yep.
Because guess what happened? And then when she was proud of him for giving the Bible and stuff, and then he was looking at another girl, and he was like,
Yep,
There's a new girl.
yep.
Always a new
oh, then
girl.
that's the problem at the end of chapter 7.
So, what does Tom do immediately as a result of that decision, Will? When he takes on a new love, what does he do?
He tries to impress her.
Oh yeah, he just stays out there and doing all the stupid stuff.
He's doing flips and he's making
she doesn't
faces.
care.
Does she? Does she not care?
Pull people's hair. They don't
I just
know.
felt stupid.
I don't know if any of you have experienced this. You're still pretty young, but sometimes when boys have an infatuation, they show it in an odd way. Often in pulling of hair and
Look at
making
my
faces and making comments that are rude all the time. And what's your response? Let's just ignore that, right? So she tries that. She tries that little ploy, you know. She just walks in the house. But she doesn't just walk in the house. What did she
She goes
do?
through the
She
window.
goes-
Rosa flower.
she threw a flower to him.
Maybe that's like, I'm still into
Connor,
I almost choked.
we've sort of discussed this already, but what happens to the sugar when Aunt Polly steps into the kitchen?
Sid dropped it.
Oh.
But it was Tom.
And what did Aunt Polly do?
Blame Tom and he
Well,
belted
here's
Tom.
the thing. When
Don't.
you do so many bad stuff, people start to believe that you did it even though you didn't do it.
That is a very good point.
Bad boy.
Yeah, bad.
You have the sugar
Okay,
bowl.
let's listen.
He has a great reputation.
He has a reputation, okay? This is a good life lesson that Mr. Twain is impressing upon you. When you behave a certain way for so long, that's just what people expect of you. And it is really, really hard to change that opinion.
Actually, that's quite good if you're a good boy.
It is.
Yeah.
Alright, so how does Aunt Polly react to that, Connor, when the sugar bowl gets broken?
He assumes it's Tom.
And he belts Tom.
Now, let's let Connor answer, okay?
She gets he belches Tom.
Okay, she does, alright. Does Tom try to say that it was Sid?
Yes.
Okay, he does try to take it for himself, but she doesn't believe him, okay? She just says, well, this is for something else that you've done, I'm sure. So, the punishment is justified.
It's something else.
I'm sure you've done something to deserve it, so we're just gonna go with it. Aiden, what's Tom's reaction from the sugar bowl incident?
He's scared, kind of like he's like I'm gonna get it.
Well,
Well,
after he
he's
gets
fine.
punished, what does he
He's
feel?
beginning to feel like pitiful and like a drama king.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, so we have all this poor miserable,
Man,
poor
he's
pitiful
He's just a
man.
little boy.
He's fantasizing about being on his deathbed and how sad everybody's
And
gonna
she's trying
be.
to say she's sorry and he looks away.
Okay, and you know, we say he's a drama king, and I think in a lot of ways he is. But it also shows us when people have really strong reactions to things, whether it's good or bad, those people are often very sensitive. And things touch them in a different way than they might touch other people. His emotions are very heightened. So anything good or bad, he just goes to an extreme. So Tom is actually a really sensitive guy, but it just manifests itself in all of these outrageous actions.
I'm trying to be rude, but is the next book we're gonna read not like this?
It is different.
What is it called?
I think The Giver is our next one, and it's a dystopian.
That one's really good.
I hate those. I like them, but I hate, what it is, like, end of the world or, like, after an apocalypse.
I have a friend who read it and she's going to answer every question.
No, she's not. Okay, so chapter 4. How does Mary convince Tom to learn his Bible verse, Brayden?
Wait, what?
How does Mary convince Tom to learn his Bible verse?
She said she would give him something nice.
Oh, she's gonna give him a prize, and we know Tom loves a good prize,
It's
right?
worth $12.50.
He needs to get some.
It's a blade, right?
He wants to get something. He wants something out of it if he has to do work.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of like me as well.
He gets a real Barlow knife.
It's worth $12.50.
And it's like absolute junk, but back then kids don't have much. And what they had, they must cherish.
So he wasn't so much motivated to learn the Bible verse. He was motivated
Get the nice.
to get the prize. Okay. What does Tom?
This classic Tom.
How does Tom get tickets for Sunday school?
He trades.
Like a
Boys
savage.
traded a lot back then. Like from this book, like almost every chapter, they're like trivia.
Oh, he
Go ahead,
did.
fish.
He did not memorize 2,000 verses.
Oh no, he didn't. So, and these tickets signify what?
That is memorized knowledge.
That they're devoted to.
Yeah. So he has memorized verses is basically what it means.
Which
You
is
get
not.
a certain color ticket for a certain number of verses that you memorize. And then once you get a number of those, you can trade them in for different color tickets. And it just keeps building until you get up to that 2,000 mark. And then
You get a Bible,
you get a Bible.
which is like 20 cents worth.
Okay. So, Helen, what effect does the arrival of the visitors have on the adults and the students? Let's talk about the adults first. How do they behave?
It's kind of good.
Okay, they sort of were bustling around. Oh, look what this one can do. Look what that one can do. Do you know people who act like that today? Have you ever seen
No.
that happen?
Yes.
Well,
Kind of.
Have you ever been pulled out in front of a family member and say, "Oh, do that thing that you do"? Or show them.
Yes.
see, look at my
Show them that
kids.
picture that you drew, or that picture that you
Yes,
colored. Go
all
get your
the
trophy.
Yeah, that's my mom.
It's my dad and mom.
Play the piano.
Will,
Every time you're home like that.
Have adults changed a whole lot?
no.
They still like to impress people with their children. Okay, we're proud of you. We want other people to be proud of you too. It's
Well, that's
sort
kind
of
of loving.
okay. So how do the children behave?
The same way.
Okay.
They're like in awe, sort of.
Same nature.
Okay, so yes, Walker.
I don't like.
What happens when Tom redeems his ticket?
He gets over to the judge and they do a Bible ceremony for him.
Okay. What else happens, Will?
Oh, they ask him a question.
Oh yeah, he asked them to share the 12 disciples because he's so knowledgeable, but he just said Goliath and something else.
David and Goliath.
David
He
and Goliath.
crashes and burns. He fails miserably.
They ask
What do you think the judge thought of that?
What would you think?
Garbage.
So
I think, I wish they would tell more of
the
what would
visitors
happen.
are so excited because this is a rare occurrence that someone has memorized 2,000 verses.
But he gave him David and Goliath as a
And he just gives himself away by saying David and Goliath.
Well, we hear from, after the book, we never hear anything else about his Bible. So
right. Well, he didn't really want the Bible. He just wanted a prize. And the prize happened to be a Bible this time. So he would just take it.
Well, the thing is, I've always thought he was gonna sell it for 20 cents.
That's
Back then, that was
Money
what?
didn't mean a lot back then.
Well, you could buy
It was
it.
more about the things. So let's get to chapter 5 here. That seemed to throw a couple of people for a loop.
This was very confusing at this time.
So let's talk about chapter 5,
Man.
okay?
I did all the chapters on that last day and all the
Yeah.
vocabulary words and woo!
Yeah, I put a note on your assignment sheet this week that if that's too much, the days you don't have any reading, you can break it
Oh,
up. and
I'm
just
proud
do it
of
on
my
your own
quiz.
day.
I was
Good.
some on Saturday.
That's another, yeah. If you have any downtime during the weekend, read a chapter.
I was going to because I had to put off some of the devotions until Saturday,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't do that because we were busy the whole day.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then so I had to do it Sunday.
All right,
Oh,
so let's talk about chapter 5. Connor. Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
What inference can you make about the author's opinion based on the following passage? The church choir always tittered and whispered all through the service. There was once a church choir that was not ill-bred, but I have forgotten where it was now. It was a great many years ago, and I can scarcely remember anything about it, but I think it was in some foreign country. What does it tell you about Mark Twain's opinion of
annoyed by the church choir whispering.
Okay, he does not think very highly of the church choir.
I didn't.
The only one he can remember that was well behaved was so many years ago that he doesn't remember it. And so the others since then have all been pretty poorly behaved. He doesn't have a very high opinion of the church there. Aiden, what's Tom's behavior during the prayer?
He like titters and moves and stuff, and just like, cause he's like, it's the same thing every day, and he would listen if there was something new
Okay.
or something, because it was just the same and bland and boring.
Okay.
For him.
He's not really listening to the prayer.
He acts like it.
He's just kind of going through the motions, but he does pick up on how things change. And what does that tell you about most of the things that happen in that church?
It's just the same.
Okay. It's a little
And when
boring.
we continue on, it's like, the same argument.
They say the same things during the prayers, they say the same things during the sermons, but he gets distracted by a fly during that. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
But he didn't reach out and get it like he wanted to.
No.
And that is not like Tom.
He usually never does that. He usually always would.
Why did he hold back?
Because he believed that his soul would be destroyed if he broke his leg.
He may have been listening a little bit to something because he had a healthy fear of God, right?
Well, that's nice. That's always nice.
So he said his soul would be instantly destroyed if he did such a thing while the prayer was going on. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry, I have to go get my pencils. I forgot, I left them in the last class. Is that okay?
Okay, somebody can let you borrow one if we need one, okay?
I got one.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love
I think
it.
we got it
It's on the, I took something my quiz that says waiting teacher approval.
If you go back on, it should be up there.
I gave me a super low grade.
Yeah, it's because I have to manually do the short answer, so I had to go in and give you points for it. Everybody did very well. If you haven't looked at it yet, they were all A's.
Really?
Y'all-
You gave me
When
like
the
a
class
full-
is over, what I got.
Yeah, you all did really,
Can
really
you tell me
well.
what I got?
I'll look at it in just a second.
Because at first it said,
Yeah, no, that's because I have to manually do the short answer ones. Okay. So, Kate, the sequence of events that begins with Tom taking out a pinch bug and ends with the dog running off in the distance. Is this what got people confused, this section here?
No. I didn't realize that Tom let it out.
Yeah, it was confusing.
Okay, so let's talk about what happened. Did you understand it? Or
I understood this part.
Okay.
I think it was chapter 4 that.
Okay, are you clear? Are you clear on chapter 4 now? Okay, good. All right, so chapter 5 here, let's talk about the events that happened with the pinch bug. What was the first thing he did?
He gets out of
Hold on one second, we're talking to Helen here.
He takes out the bug from his case
Okay.
and falls into the aisle.
All right, so he takes out the pinch bug, and the pinch bug does what a pinch bug does.
Pitch.
And it pinched him. Well, he didn't like that, so he sort of flung it, and it ended up in the aisle. Okay, what happened next, Walker? Something very odd was in the church. Has anyone ever had a dog in the church before?
No, because I was thinking that, I'm like,
Did the
did he
dog
fling
get
it
it?
outside or something?
Unless there was some blind person in the church.
No, unless you have a blind person with a service dog, which
Never
they
happened.
probably wouldn't be running up and down the aisles.
the dog chases it?
I can't say
Yes.
that.
So Tom has provided a distraction for most of the other church members
So-
by throwing his pinch bug out
People
into
like
the
And
aisle.
the dog chases it.
All right. So a poodle comes in and tries to snatch it, but Will What does a pinch bug do?
It pinched him on the shin.
And the dog
Okay, so the dog got
angry
angry with it
and
and
tried to chase him.
he tried to fall asleep after he was playing with it, but it pinched him again and he takes off running and yowling. Does the preacher ever stop?
No. It's
What
kind
kind
of
of
funny because
preacher
as
is
he's
that?
talking, it's like all the chaos. And
Why did the preacher do that? That's so weird.
It's so funny, like in those movies that you see where that's happening.
So does this give you any indication as to perhaps something like this has happened before in their community?
Maybe.
If the
Maybe Tom
preacher
did it
just
again.
kept on preaching,
Maybe it happens often.
maybe there are a lot of things like this that happen. And
So they're used to it.
they're used to it.
Probably all of them
What
do
if the
it
zombie
all.
apocalypse happened? Just and then it was like no.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay, so the dog has run off. Connor, what is Tom's behavior and thoughts during the church service?
He's distracted by a fly and he finds a sermon boring.
Okay,
That's what I put. He just thought it was boring and a waste of time.
yeah. He's very often not paying attention. He's distracted by the pinch bug. And what can we conclude about Tom, Aiden?
He doesn't really like church at all.
He doesn't really care. He doesn't care at all.
He'd rather be doing something.
What does he expect from every moment of his life?
Sure, and excitement.
Prizes, excitement, moving around.
I think he has ADHD.
Or maybe he's just a little boy.
How old is he?
You know what? It doesn't tell us.
I always think like
13.
12.
He's probably about your age.
Nice guy.
So, what would happen to you if you took a pinch bug out during church and flung it into the aisle and caused a commotion? Would any of you be able to sit down for a week?
No, my butt would be on fire.
What do you mean sit down?
You won't be able
Your
to sit.
butt is in pain.
Get a spanking,
I would
Get
just
it
get like
grounded. You probably wouldn't see the light of day. Yeah.
Unless, I don't know.
Hey, let's have
Your mom would just be laughing.
Your mom would think it was funny?
Yeah.
Wow. So she would probably be one of them who was just, oh, this is normal. This is normal. Okay, so Tom is again a distraction to those around him. Let's talk about chapter 6. Tom is pretending to be sick. Braden, why is he sick?
Cause he doesn't want to go to school.
Oh, it's
We were supposed to
Monday.
read chapter 6.
I hate Monday.
And 7.
So do I.
There's probably there is
saw
for sure this is I hate
34,
Monday from like
5.
30 different shirts.
Can you give me a sheet?
I broke my arm.
5 through 7.
Here comes school.
You got a little catching up to do, okay? Okay, so Tom does not want to go to school. It is Monday. This is not where he wants to do,
Okay,
but he has to go anyways, and we get to meet a new friend.
Oh, who?
I'll
I'll spoilers.
Huckleberry Finn.
Own book.
Okay, tell me a word that describes Huckleberry Finn's appearance.
What?
Dirty, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
in that sense.
This is actually good. I'll help me understand the book.
I say red.
Connor, how would you describe him?
Dirty.
Dirty?
Ragged.
Gross.
Okay,
Vulgar.
Filthy.
that's what my word was, but more the meaning of what it used to mean, not
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
It said raggedy.
Raggedy.
Gross.
Basically everything that's negative.
So,
I
poor,
get it.
poor. He is a messy, dirty, poor little boy.
Why?
When he's the drunk, and it says like he's the drunken man's son.
His dad is the town drunk.
What does that mean?
He stays drunk all the time. He doesn't take care of Huckleberry.
Run away! It's the town drunk.
So he was always dressed in cast-off clothes that were for a grown man.
And so he's like got a lot of stuff on him.
He
Nobody liked him.
has a hat that's torn up. He was the first to lose his shoes in the spring and the last to put them back on in the fall. He did not have to wear his shoes. So what were the children's opinion of him?
They like basically idolized him, kind of like their hero, sort of. because he could do whatever he wanted, go wherever he wanted to go. 'cause
That's
his dad
actually a
didn't care.
benefit.
They envied him.
They envied him. They did.
They had so much
What were the parents' opinions of him?
They
Kate.
they did not like him. They just like
That's where we get the word vulgar.
kids complaining.
The children were not allowed to be around him, so that meant that every time they could, they did, right?
Yeah, just about.
Okay, Huckleberry, which is he was the
Star.
the star of the boys. Okay.
And boy.
So then they have a discussion with Huckleberry. Tom does about curing warts.
Oh wow,
Oh, yeah.
that's a great subject. Hey,
Why would they talk about that?
That's
So
just
this
what
is
they
what
did.
little boys talk about. All right. So
Yeah, he did.
Kate, which do they believe is most likely to work? Which cure?
I would
Hold
say.
on. Ask Kate, please.
Well,
Hey,
I probably the most likely. I think it would be the water.
Spunk water.
Spunk water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
Okay.
said the dead cat one where they go to the graveyard.
So there were three things they thought could cure a cat. Could cure a wart.
Yeah, wow.
The dead cat in the
The
graveyard.
spunk water.
The spunk water,
There's
which
one more.
was the water that had gathered in a dead stump, or the bean method,
Which is weird.
which was cutting a bean in half and then poking your wart and getting some blood on it, put it on the bean,
That way you just
burying
don't cut
half
off
of the bean, and then it would draw.
I don't think
out.
any of those would work.
You don't think? Well, you're
That's where
probably
they were
right.
very superstitious.
So here we're seeing that superstition come into play, right?
Well, which and one thing I don't think is superstition is that your soul will be destroyed.
Okay. So they think that the least likely to work is the spunk water.
Yes.
But they're pretty sure the bean method works, and they're curious about trying this cat method.
Oh shoot, I said the cat.
This is what we call foreshadowing. You remember that from last year?
No.
You guys were in my
Yes.
class?
It's covering up something. It's like hinting.
It's a hint.
What was it in your class?
Okay, so we talked about foreshadowing last year. That is a literary technique where the author gives you a clue about something that's going to happen.
In the future.
The fact that these boys are curious about this very odd method of curing warts is telling us that knowing who they are, they're probably going to try it.
Here, he's like, hey, what you got there? He's like, I traded this for a dead cat. It's like, they've traded weird stuff there.
So in this conversation, Tom has become late for school. Helen, why does he confess that he was late? Because he was talking to Huckleberry Finn.
As a punishment.
Oh, yes. Did everyone pick up on that?
What?
Yes. That was his play.
Because it always said, at the church, the girl with the blonde pink pigtails. And then he says, oh, look, there's the girl
How
with
is
the
sitting
blonde.
by the girls a punishment?
Because the boys and the girls don't sit together. It's gross.
Back then, people were very superstitious about cooties.
All right. So he knows his punishment is going to be to sit next to that new girl, and he sits by Becky, and he flirts with her.
Becky, wow.
Becky Thatcher.
Becky.
All right.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Chapter 7. So Tom takes out a tick.
Oh,
Right.
gross.
It's another
He
toy.
traded very good. Yeah,
It's
it's,
another
a live
toy.
toy without any batteries.
So, Will, what happens when he takes out the tick?
He plays a game with, what's his name?
Jim.
Yes.
Jim.
And
Joe.
it,
It's Joe.
Joe.
it,
No,
They're like
never
best
mind. Jim
friends.
is the different person.
Yeah.
Jim's the blind person that you see in Huckleberry.
they get the two, pens or pencils, and if the tick is on Tom's side of the table, then he gets to mess with it, and if it's on Joe's side of the table, he gets to mess with it.
That is gross.
Well, when you're in school and you're bored and your teacher just keeps droning on and on and on about
You
a
can't
book
do that now
you're
because
supposed to
the
read.
teachers are always watching.
So they were fighting
Right,
over the
yes,
tick,
actually.
okay? So explain what Tom means when he says he and Becky are engaged to be married, Connor. What does that mean to Tom?
That they can never date anybody else.
Okay.
Girlfriend, boyfriend,
He
girlfriend.
says that you only just tell a boy you won't have anybody but him ever, 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 and then you kiss,
Ever.
and that's all. So that's what engaged is.
Yeah, back then that's what they thought. That's what children
Alright.
thought. And then when today
So-
in reality,
What is your interpretation of being engaged?
like as in forever until death, until we part.
Okay, so you mean to actually get married.
Yeah.
Does Tom mean to actually get married, or does he just want her to not go out with anybody else?
It's like claiming property.
Wrong.
That is a very good way of putting it.
Wow.
You're mine, and I'm yours, and that's it. Okay.
What is yours is
But
mine,
Tom
it's
made a
mine, it's ours.
mistake.
He
Ooh.
What do you do? What
What's
do you
the
do?
word that you say? He blinded. No, not blinded.
What do you do? What was his mistake?
He did something, and he accidentally said
Blundered.
Amy Lawrence. He blundered. Yeah.
Okay.
Amy Lawrence.
He admitted that he had been in love before.
Why?
And then she said,
Oh, it just broke apart.
I broke my heart.
It
I'm like,
just
I was the
absolutely
first time
broke
that he
apart.
talked to her and they were talking to each other. I knew him like at some point he's gonna mention Amy Lawrence.
So Becky starts crying and she pushes Tom away, and Tom tries to give Becky his best treasure, which was
The brass door.
brass doorknob,
Whatever that was valuable back then, it's
but
probably
she
just.
threw it on the floor.
And he got mad.
Oh, and he ran away from school. Becky called after him. Was she really that upset, or was she putting on?
She put it on.
Oh,
Well, I was kind of glad at that because
was he getting a little taste of his own medicine with the drama?
yes.
She was just doing that.
Yeah. She still loved him. We're going to see how their relationship plays out as we continue to read.
Will they get back together
I gotta
or
do
not?
that.
See it in the next episode of Tom
I wish I read that.
Season 2.
Okay. As you read this week, when you finish up chapters 8 and 9, you are going to do a plot diagram project. Okay? So we're going to talk about plot here for a second, okay? And I have a little presentation here.
What's a plot diagram? Is it hard?
No. So we're gonna take a look at what it means, okay? So in a plot diagram,
Oh, you got the cool little app
I
thing.
did. It always, if you want to take notes, if you want to draw this diagram and then fill in the parts as we go, that would probably be helpful for you.
Oh, really? I have to. Make what you need.
Hold on, we'll take it slow. So just draw straight lines,
What's
up
exposition?
the hill, down the hill, straight line.
What's exposition?
We're gonna talk about that. Okay. So this is basically the roadmap for the way all stories work, okay?
The climax and stuff like
And you guys will be familiar with it, so y'all just kind of go along with me on this because y'all did several of these, okay?
Like the outsiders.
So exposition is the beginning of the story, basically. It's where you get all of your information, all right? It creates the tone, it introduces the characters, it shows you the setting, and it sort of indicates a conflict that may be coming, okay? So you might just want to make a note about characters, setting. Now, who knows what setting is? What is
It's
the
like-
setting of a story?
Like where or
Okay.
describing the area.
Where something happens. What else can setting indicate?
When.
When something happened. Okay.
And conflict.
With characters, we have major and minor characters. Some play a big role, and some just appear and then disappear.
Like Amy Lawrence that disappeared out of his heart.
So yes, Amy would be an example of a minor character. We don't get to know very much about her. We just hear her name occasionally, okay? This just introduces the story pretty much, okay?
Rising.
Going up the hill, we have our rising action.
My hill is super steep over it.
That is fun.
Actually, curved a little bit.
It's like major events that lead up to the.
Okay. So our rising
Very
action, this is where the conflict develops, okay? Obstacles start showing up for our characters. So what's another word for conflict?
Problem.
Yeah. We start seeing what the problem is in the story. Do what?
What is the problem?
What is the problem in Tom Sawyer?
Silence.
Not adventure. I don't know. There's a lot of problems.
There's a lot of
There's too many.
subplots within this story.
Yeah, there's school and Becky and home.
So overall, I would say that the problem is that Tom has trouble settling in to being a good, obedient boy.
Well, that's been happening for 12 years.
So we're watching it, and maybe we'll see him figure something out.
Maybe this is like the
Maybe
important.
Becky will.
Maybe we're around the time where he changes.
Okay, at the top is the climax of the story.
The turning point.
Okay. The climax. This is the most exciting part of the story, okay?
Becky and Tom get married.
Most exciting part of the story.
Probably not.
And then it's like he blew out his candles.
Hey, they are already
The turning
engaged.
point is the highest point
Yeah.
of the action.
Is this the climax, people?
Maybe we're right on top.
This is where all those obstacles have to get fixed.
Like going up a hill, and then you're going down. It's like a roller coaster ride.
Okay, going down is falling action.
I'm falling and I can't
Have you?
get up.
I've fallen and I can't.
Life with our saves a life every 11 minutes.
Look twice, save a life.
Okay. So what is falling action?
The resolution completing event.
Well, sort of. We're almost there. This is where all those loose ends get tied up and the action starts to fade away. Okay? This is the point where the story starts to be tied up. Okay? We can say the loose ends get tied here.
Lucio. Oh.
Is this optional?
Yeah, that's Lucio.
No.
Oh.
And one more.
And then the last part would be
The
the resolution.
The conclusion to the story.
Finally, the day we've been waiting for.
So this occurs after the falling action. The main conflict of the story is resolved. Now this doesn't mean that everything gets resolved,
Some things may stay the same.
but the main conflict gets resolved. This is what happens to the characters where the story ends, okay?
Sometimes it doesn't really have a resolution. Like, it does, but it's like a bad ending.
Well, it's
Like the casting of Amontillado.
Oh, my book is messed up.
Okay.
So I have to read off the computer, which is not convenient.
Oh, okay.
Because look, here's what happens. All the chapters are mixed up. And some aren't even in there.
What's that?
Sometimes you'll hear the resolution called the denouement. And that's just
Is that
a
French?
nice French word for ending.
Just the idea.
So you need to be familiar with that word because a
denouement.
lot of literature classes
Okay, no.
will use that.
Good news.
If this is like a, but sometimes we just have bad endings. Like the casting of Amontillado.
sometimes it's not a good conclusion. Most of the time we have happily ever afters, but not always. So let's look at how the story arc plays out in a story that you're all familiar with. What story is this?
Cinderella.
And
the girls with the bad butts.
Alright.
It looks like it.
Okay, so the exposition of Cinderella, pay attention please. The reader meets Cinderella and her family. We get to see the life that Cinderella is living, and we're introduced to the setting. Where does she live?
Fairyland.
And kingdom.
She lives in a place.
And
She lives on Earth.
She lives in our house.
the main character would be,
Cinderella.
who would be some minor characters?
Priscilla.
And
Prince Charming.
I don't know what
The ugly sisters.
the stepsisters,
Remember?
Drusilla.
Cinderella again?
Oh, they're amazing.
Okay.
They're my favorite.
The rising action. Cinderella gets invited to the ball, but what are her obstacles?
Her-
Hold on. Wait, Kate.
Her stepsisters and her
The ringleader.
her
Her
stepmother.
Yeah.
Well, she is.
So she, the prince doesn't really know who she is. And she doesn't have the right clothes that she's supposed to wear. So her fairy godmother has arrived to help.
This is the climax.
This is a fiction story.
What would be the
confirmed.
climax?
The ball.
Dancing with the prince. Okay,
And it's also-
Cinderella makes it to the ball. We have to know, will they fall in love?
They do.
Will they live happily ever after? Will the stepmother or the stepsisters find out?
They got.
Will she make it home by midnight?
Never.
She does. She will never.
So much
make her home
tension.
alive.
Okay, the following action. What does the prince do to find her?
Inviting to the ball.
proclamation.
The proclamation.
Emancipation.
Inviting to the ball.
Trying to fit the glass slipper on
And think of how
Takes
big
that
that
slipper around to all the young ladies of the kingdom to find the one that it fits.
It's an intense story.
The resolution, he finds Cinderella and they get married and they live happily ever after.
I know. How do you wear glass? They'll just break.
Like that, you're like wearing Legos, except not with the little names on it.
And
So
not
I
easily
will
break.
say that this is a fairy tale where not all things have to come through for reality. Okay?
We live happily ever after. That doesn't happen. Oh, no one thinks about the fairy godmother.
So,
Nobody really does.
what you guys are going to
I
do
know.
after you read chapters 8 and 9 is create sort of a comic strip of a plot, okay? I'm going to send you home with a worksheet that looks like this.
I already made a comic of the Hunger Games.
That's
Yeah.
right, we're going to
I
do
will
this.
pause my video.
Listen please, okay? So, filling in the events of a plot diagram can help you see how certain episodes help move the story along. Remember when we said that there were a lot of subplots that were happening in Tom Sawyer? There were a lot of little things that were happening as the overall big thing was happening.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit of a spoiler alert here
Oh man.
because there's going to be a graveyard scene
Yeah, because
that
of
was
the cat.
intimated with the cat.
Well, that's not really a
So
spoiler.
we're going to zoom in on that scene, and we're going to look at how the specific elements of the story move the action forward from that scene, okay? Something's going to happen here that's going to affect the story. So, the setting can contribute a lot to the plot. You guys need to be aware of that. Think about a scary story or even a scary movie that you may have
Oh, like-
seen.
Lights out,
Okay.
lights
Yeah.
out.
What kinds of things help to add to the atmosphere of that
The
story?
tension, the background music.
Okay, so
Very-
the music can be part of the setting. What else about the setting of
the
those
terrain. the turn just that. The,
What else adds to? If you're watching a movie and there's some kind of usually creepy music or kind of scary sounds or strange sounds.
Jump scares.
Maybe there's some odd looking creatures that add to the story. Okay. So the setting is essential to moving the plot forward. And you're going to focus on that. Sometimes it's not so much the setting, but it's what the characters say that help to add to the story.
or the background man talking, that's always scary.
So, you guys have seen The Lion King?
It's a
Way too many times.
So you're familiar with the scene, some of you have seen it, where Simba's father dies?
Yes, I almost cried.
Okay, see? That all of that, what gets said, the music playing in the background, all of that adds to the story. It shapes who he is, right? It shapes who he grows up to be. So think about that through Tom, okay? The things that happen to him shape who he's going to be. And there are some big things that happen to Tom along the way that change him. So let's look at that,
With
okay?
pajamas, penguins on the bottom.
So you are going to focus on the setting and the dialogue and the actions of the graveyard scene. And you're going to fill those in on this worksheet, okay? Giving yourself some specific evidence of what happens. And then, let's see if I'm going, here we go. You're going to make a storyboard, which looks just like a comic book.
Oh yeah, we did this for the living room.
You can use stick figures if you're not an artist. I'm not real concerned.
I'm technically
As
an
long
artist,
as it
but
goes
I'm bad
with
at
the
drawing people.
I would like for you to use color, but if you don't want to use color, I don't require it. Okay? You're going to draw the scene from the graveyard, okay? Moment by moment.
It's gonna
We didn't read it though.
You're going to read it before you do this.
My plan.
So this will be for grade, all right? It will not be graded on your artistic ability. It will be graded on whether or not you included the setting and the dialogue and the
What if
action.
you can't tell it when
I'll get the idea.
Is that supposed to be a bunny? No. That's a
Is that supposed to be a
Rats.
My
graveyard?
class last year did this with the Hunger Games, and
Is this a spot?
Wait, can we put you
Graveyard.
in the Hunger?
we did it
Wait,
last
were
year.
you,
If you take my class again next year, I'll be doing it.
Is that your brother?
Will you teach my grade?
Wait, you're doing Hunger Games again next year?
I'm gonna go back to my original set.
This time I'm not taking
You
the
won't.
picture again.
No, I
Okay.
gave you about it.
You guys.
Okay, guys. Chapters 8 and 9 will be read tomorrow, and then you're gonna have a quiz over chapters 5 through 9 on Thursday. It'll be open the same as before. Did anybody have any trouble getting in?
No.
No.
No? Okay. So, check your in-grade. It should have your grade posted, because I did post those. If not, let me know, and I'll send you what your grade was. Then you're gonna do your storyboard project, and from Thursday through till Monday, be aware that chapters 10 through 13 will need to be read. So if you don't wanna read all 3 chapters at once, go ahead and break that up and do it on days where there's not any reading.
Friday, Saturday,
Okay.
and Sunday would be great. And you'll have nothing on Monday.
You wanna do it that way?
I always
That's
have
perfectly
something on
fine.
Monday. I always have something
Hey,
off.
we could not do a quiz.
There's just so much work.
Mondays are terrible for me.
Mondays are awful.
I really I hate Monday. I also hate Monday.
Yeah, Monday was awful yesterday.
Hey, can we do a
My
horror,
Monday was
a horror book this
It
year?
just that should be bad.
We're gonna do
I got
a
those.
mystery genre from Agatha Christie. Or called The Case of the Missing Will.
Yes. Well, obviously.
That's the point.
I don't think
Yeah,
that.
yes.
Hey, Will, did you hear the book we're reading? The Case of the Missing Will.
Agatha Christie was one of the very first to write in the mystery genre. Hey guys, don't leave yet. I need to give you back your papers from last week, okay?
Did we all do pretty good?
Yeah. Connor, that one's
Did we
yours.
do terrible?
What did I do? I don't even remember.
Yeah, what is this?
This is your humorous response.
Yay.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's Aiden.
Oh,
Yes. Okay.
Brayden.
I got a 90.
I got 100.
And then,
No,
I just gave you a check
you
mark
got a 10.
for these. That means you
Well,
got 100.
Did you get a 100? Or did you not get a 100?
I got a 90.
I got a 92.
No,
I got 100.
You got a 61.
Shit, forgot to use the same way. But other than that,
Oh, sweet cheese.
Are we dismissed?
You are dismissed. Have a great day.
goodbye, everybody. Hope to see you next.
Bye, guys.
Hope the Steve. Let's hope the school goes down next week. No, this is uncrackable. I dropped it like 20 times. Look, we're still live.
What kind of phone is that?
Samsung J3 anti-crack.
I have a 7. I have an iPhone 7 one.
I'm gonna stop streaming.
You can stream this entire.
Yeah, 51
Oh,
minutes.
I want to show you my parrot.